Hi, I am Martin's youngest sister, Lee, also known as Eileen. The character Job in the Bible suffered devastating loss, but God gave him the grace to still bless the Lord. Job's quote is, "The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Martin was born September 2nd, 1960 at Virginia Baptist, the ninth of our parents' 10 children. I'm number 8. Mom and Dad said he looked perfect like the rest of their children. Our doctor told them that Martin had a heart murmur and that he lacked muscle tone, but nothing else. They took him home, and Mom was bragging about how easy a baby he was, rarely crying. But being an experienced mom, she soon realized that he was a bit too easy, that he should cry more than he did. When Mom called to make an appointment, her doctor said that she and Dad should go in with Martin for the appointment. When they met the doctor, he explained that Martin had what was then called Mongolism, now called Down syndrome. In addition to his heart condition and his lack of muscle tone, Martin would be mentally retarded. This was not politically incorrect at that time, but an accurate description of his delayed development. They could not predict how far Martin would mature physically or mentally. From the doctor's office, Mom and Dad took Martin to see their pastor, who said, "Who knows what graces and blessings God might give to you or your other children through Martin." A few months later, Mom wrote a letter to her relatives and said, "We've talked to priests, sisters, doctors, and others, and have decided that we'll keep Martin with us indefinitely. Here at home, he can have the love, affection, and care that he needs. We will only consider changing our minds when the situation changes and his welfare or the welfare of the other children should demand it." This is still Mom writing, "We told the oldest 4 that he's physically and mentally retarded, but they really don't know what that means. I think I'll drop that sentence. I've said that he'll be slow to smile, slow to recognize us, slow to walk and talk. When Martha, aged 5, noticed his heavy breathing, which happens occasionally, I took the opportunity to say, 'Did you know, honey, that Martin has a couple of things wrong with him? He has a heart murmur. He has this noisy breathing sometimes, and he's very small for his age.' She looked at me a little suspiciously and said with her big eyes as big as saucers, 'But you're glad you got him, aren't you?' I hastened to reassure her and would like to pass along the same message to you all, that Marty and I are truly glad we got him. We know that God doesn't make mistakes, and he sent Martin to us for some special reason. We are sure that God will give us the strength we need for each day." As Martin grew up, he loved watching TV, especially watching sports with his dad or with his brother Bruce. When he lived with Mom on Boston Avenue, he would sit on the floor in front of the TV looking up at the screen for hours on end. Mom had placed an old alarm clock on the floor next to the television in an attempt to teach Martin how to tell time. He had a 9 o'clock bedtime. One night, about 9:30, Mom said, "Martin, what time is it?" Slowly, and without taking his eyes off the television, Martin reached over and turned the clock around backwards so Mom could not see what time it was, and kept right on watching TV.
I'm Mary, Martin's oldest sister, and here are a few more reflections from myself and some of my other siblings. My mother, Eileen, was Martin's primary caregiver almost continually until she was 88 years old. Their close relationship was a delight to observe. Many years ago, one of her neighbors told her that she would envied Mom because she would always be needed as a mother. Mom agreed that this was truly a gift. Later in life, Martin developed his artistic ability, even having an art show at the public library. You can enjoy some of his paintings in the Commons today. Many of you know that a highlight of Martin's week was right here in this church. He was a faithful parishioner, attending the Saturday afternoon Mass and singing his heart out. If for some reason he wasn't going to Mass with Mom on any given Saturday, he would let us know his disappointment. In Martin's final years, he lived at Forest Hills Group Home, the perfect place for him. My mom was so pleased with the care he received and the wonderful friendships he made. During that same time, his life was enriched by his daily experiences at DePaul Family Services. My sister Martha says that Martin was the happiest person in the world. He greeted everyone he met with a smile, a handshake, or a hug. No one was a stranger to Martin. My brother Kevin, who was 2 years younger than Martin, wrote, "From the ages of 8 to 18, I had the honor of being the person who could communicate with Martin most effectively. I suspect that Bruce has been that person now for decades. If you know Martin well, you know that Martin would say, 'Yeah,' to almost any proposal. You might even wonder if he understood the suggestion. If you were close enough to him, you've experienced him sometimes responding, 'Nah.' But those times were few and far between. So, when you know that he understands, you also know that his yes is genuine. He almost always wanted to do what I wanted to do. I may not have realized it at the time, but that was a tremendous gift to me. Many times I've proposed ideas to friends who were not that interested. That never happened with Martin." Kevin continues, "Martin had special needs, but also special abilities. To appreciate your friendship, your presence, to make you feel loved for paying attention to him, and to almost always being interested in what you suggested just because he wanted to spend time with you." And I will close with reflections from my brother John. When I went off to college 50 years ago, men did not often hug each other in the culture I'd been exposed to. It was a handshake, primarily, or maybe a slap on the shoulder. Though Martin was just 7 years old at that time, what I missed most that first semester away from home was the freedom to embrace Martin. Leaving his presence or returning, he never turned aside or resisted my hugs, whether I'd been gone for months or just for hours. From the perspective that Martin's purpose on earth was to heal and to offer us a model of unconditional love, the freedom to embrace and hold another man is the lasting legacy for which I am most grateful. I am blessed to enjoy relationships with men in my community where embracing each other is commonplace. And I am indebted to my brother for being my teacher. So long, Marty. I will forever miss your hugs.
On Friday, November 17th, about 2 weeks ago, our 100-year-old mother fell and suffered a broken hip and wrist. Her hip repair surgery went well, but in the next 2 days, she suffered a stroke and a heart attack. The family gathered from Maryland, North Carolina, California, and Georgia. Martin understood that Mom was very sick. The next Wednesday, Mom entered hospice care with the goal of keeping her comfortable, calm, and supported by loved ones. On Thanksgiving Day, John took Martin for a long visit with Mom, followed by a few hours in my home, where our parents raised all 10 of us. There, Martin enjoyed drinking my husband's spiced cider, looking at family photos, and spending time with my children and grandchildren. When John took Martin back to his home, the two of them had a priceless time eating a Thanksgiving dinner for two. On Friday, Martin got weak, experienced labored breathing, and his heart stopped. It was a peaceful and painless death. 6 of us went over to say our goodbyes and to thank his caregivers for the amazing love they have shown Martin for years. Later that day, the 6 of us were at Mom's bedside, touching her. Mary said, "Mom, I have some sad news. Today Martin died at his home." Mom's facial expression changed, but she was quiet. After a moment, Mary said, "That's sad news, isn't it?" Mom replied, "It's beautiful news. He would have been so lonely without me." After pondering that for a moment, Mary said, "You're right. And he's in heaven now with Dad." Mom's response was, "They're so lucky. I want to be there too." Our mom is spending her days in hospice care, surrounded by her children, her faithful aides, Nancy and Trina, and a gifted team of nurses. So together we thank and bless the Lord for his grace on our lives, when he gives and when he takes away. Those who believe in Jesus, as Martin did, can trust that he will raise us up on the last day.